Hello everybody, my name is the Atomic Witch Anna, and I've got a lot to say. So welcome to the channel. I just do videos discussing different topics that pop into my head, sometimes doing not reactionary, but in a sense to certain things. Now today's episode has been super postponed. I had like a month of people over, and both of my son's birthdays and my birthday, so I just figured I'd take a little break just to kind of give us time to focus on the house and everything. But I'm back with the episode of Tips to Being Human. Now this series is not meant to, first of all, say that I'm like the best human, or it's just little tips and little ideas and stuff like that that I've or little tidbits of knowledge that I've come across that I definitely think are helpful. Now what I do that's my son. What I want to talk about today are emotions. Now emotions are human. I don't know, not just human. I actually think that humans feel emotions as well, but I do feel that emotions are like our reason for being alive. Like, feeling emotions is nothing bad, but it's kind of like been turned into something bad in society, so to speak. At least that's kind of how I see it. Like, I think that my biggest tip to anybody out there would be, if you haven't already gotten a handle of this, is understand and acknowledge and know how to process your emotions. Know what emotion you're feeling in that moment and about why. Now it sounds like simple or kind of like probably overplayed and stuff like that, but at the same time I think that a lot of people are so used to ignoring their emotions, or just kind of hiding what they're feeling if they're hurt or stuff like that, or especially pain seems to be hidden a lot. Like, there's a lot of stigma still in with men and crying and things like that, or just in general, like if a woman, people getting angry just seems to be an issue. But at the same time, I also think that anger is just the emotion that's allowed more. Sadness or guilt and stuff like that are definitely ones that they try to stay hidden a lot more within people, at least in my experience. Now the reason that I say this is because when we're not aware of what we're feeling in that moment, a lot of the times in that effort to this is how I explain it, okay? In the effort to hide the emotion that you're feeling in that moment, you're gonna be like spending energy trying to like control yourself, so to speak. But then in the end, you're gonna end up reacting worse, or reacting off of your kind of like survival instincts, so to speak, because they're kind of what takes over when the mind is distracted, right? Like when we're not fully aware of what's happening because we're caught up in some kind of like internal struggle. It's easy to lash out at people. It's easy to react in a way that we wouldn't normally want to react, or, I think I get what you're saying. You get what I'm saying. Now, this can be achieved in a lot of ways, like it's definitely practice. I would definitely actually recommend therapy for people who want to try therapy, because it's a good tool. Like, if you're sick, you go to a doctor. If you're not mentally prepared for things, you go to a therapist. I think that there's a lot of stigma around therapy just because people still have that concept that maybe, I don't know what it is. It's kind of like I don't know if it's just a societal thing, but it kind of feels like there's this idea that either you have to go with the first person or your first, I don't know how to explain it necessarily, but it's kind of like the first person you find, you kind of like stick to. They're at least that's been my experience with people. Like, they don't really go out and look. Finding a therapist is a process. Finding the right fit for you, the person who understands your specific set of needs, is a process. It's not just something that you're gonna fall into and it's gonna be amazing the first go around. Things like meditation and mindful exercises and stuff like that what we in the metaphysical community can call shadow work. But at the same time, I do feel that having somebody who is a professional helping you with these kind of things is very helpful. It's an extra tool, so to speak. Like, I'm not saying use people as tools, but what I'm saying is, like, therapy is a tool for you to be able to understand yourself. And I think that there were definitely some quotes out there. I'm gonna have to find some, but when you are able to understand yourself better, you are able to go through the world in a better way, so to speak. Like, if you are in this, let's give an example, right? If you're in a situation with a group of friends and they're saying, hey, let's go do this thing that you're not really into, whatever it could be, clubbing, skydiving, whatever. And you're so used to just wanting to say yes, or just wanting to be part of the group or something like that, and then you end up doing this, you're going to create a sense of uncomfortableness inside of you. Because you ignored what you didn't want, because you were just getting caught up in, what do we call that? Peer pressure, maybe. Even if you're not feeling pressured, there are a lot of times that when we don't acknowledge the fact that we're uncomfortable with something and we just let other people convince us into this, you're going to create that unsettling, experience within yourself. Now, I'm not saying don't stop yourself from trying stuff just because you feel uncomfortable. That's not necessarily what I'm saying. But knowing the extremity of your emotions, or how, what kind of specific emotion you're having and why, will definitely help you get a better grasp on the things that you want to do or don't want to do in life. I know that, when I was younger, I definitely had a lot of moments where I wanted to experience something with a group, but then in the end it just wasn't what I expected, because initially I hadn't had that reaction of like, ooh, that feeling that I'm just like, oh, I want to try this so bad. So learn to listen to that within yourself. I think that it's an important lesson that a lot of people still kind of ignore, because we are in a culture that kind of helps us make it easy to ignore stuff. There's yummy food all over the place. There's video games. There's the phone to distract you. So there's so many forms of, so many ways to distract yourself, and so many distracting things in the world, that it's easy to just kind of distract yourself when you have a negative emotion, instead of sitting with it and understanding it and identifying it. And don't be afraid to cry. I really hate that a lot of people still feel sensitive, or not sensitive, I'm sorry, still think that crying is like a super sensitive thing, or like a negative thing in a sense, because there are plenty of occasions when people have to cry, and we don't, because we feel like there's like this no, everybody's facing adversity. But that is kind of our release mechanism. Like, why else would it happen if it wasn't meant to happen? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like, why would you consistently deny yourself the release there's like a word that I'm looking for, but I might think about it, might not. Why would you deny yourself that natural, because it's natural. Crying to me is like the most natural thing. Why would we have these reactions when we have these emotions if it wasn't what was meant to occur, if it wasn't the natural way of releasing that? Again, just my opinion on that. So yeah, I'm going to keep this video a bit shorter today, and I know that this probably might be a little bit underwhelming in the sense that you're just like, yeah, whatever, but take this as a sign if you're coming across it and you're still kind of like in a fog about your own emotions. I mean, we're so complex, just like any other person can be complex in their emotions. So acknowledge that. Acknowledge the negative emotions, acknowledge the positive emotions. Don't get stuck on the positive emotions, but the more that we try to hide whatever emotion we're feeling, the more we're going to be ruled by those emotions. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of what I've experienced in my life. So, a couple little tidbits. Don't mix your bleach in hot water. It actually neutralizes it and it makes it not disinfectant anymore. Use it in cold water. Didn't know that. Don't mix bleach and vinegar. Bad combination for cleaning. Don't do that. Don't cook acidic foods like tomatoes and things like that, lemons and whatnot, in your cast iron because it'll corrode it. And then always remember to keep the handles of your pots and pans turned in towards the oven so you don't accidentally knock it when you're walking by. So if you've enjoyed the video and if I've given you just something tiny, teeny, tiny to think about or consider, then go ahead and drop a comment, drop a like if you want to, subscribe if you want to. If you don't, you don't have to. I hope that you have a wonderful week. Next week, I'm going to be coming up with something fiery for Fans My Furnace because I probably got something to be angry about. I'm sure we all do. Yeah, also, acknowledge the fact that, you know, it's okay to feel shitty about the fact that the earth is kind of in a precarious situation right now, just in general society, environmentally. It's okay to be aware of that emotion because I do feel like that's the root of a lot of issues for some people. Not everybody, but hey, you know who you are if you do feel that way. So, yeah, that was it. Take it easy, guys. Be happy, be safe, love yourself, you know, and I'll be seeing you guys next week.